Peace, power, and prosperity, family. This is Amir, the Chicago crypto hustler, Bitcoin block bully, coming to you once again with an early rising crypto update. This rising, we're going to be going over the Token Taxonomy Act, delivered by myself and with added commentary by Brother D. Duncan. Brother Duncan, how we doing out there? I'm all is well, feeling good. A lot of bullish news, going on right now. And it just continues to come. Now, this right here is not something that's so much new as it is something that is still in the process of being, and I think it's something that we need to become aware of. So let's go ahead and give a mic check, family. Let me know if you can hear me as well as Brother Duncan. Go ahead, Brother Duncan. Let me, if you all could, let me know if you can hear Brother Duncan clearly. If you all could, please let me know if you can hear Brother Duncan clearly. Peace, Queen. How we doing? Keita. What's going on? Brother Kennedy, Queen Nikki, Brother Cameron, Vincent. If y'all can, let me know if you can hear Brother Duncan clearly. He's low still, but okay. He's low. Let me see. Go ahead, speak.
Hello, everybody. This is D. Duncan.
It's a little bit of a.
Can you guys hear me now? Is that better?
Are you all able to hear him now clearly?
Check, 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, that should be. They should definitely. Can y'all hear Brother Duncan now? Way better. They said way better. We got thumbs up coming through.
Okay.
Better. Okay. Yep. Okay, let's go ahead and kick this off. Let me get the podcast started. Family, how we doing out there? I'm glad we got all thumbs up now, man. We can really get this thing started. So, hold on. Delete that. There we go. Peace, power, and prosperity, family. This is Amir, the Chicago crypto hustler, Bitcoin block bully, coming to you once again with an early rising crypto update. And we're going to be bringing to you and presenting to you the Token Taxonomy Act, delivered by myself with added commentary from Brother D. Duncan. And what this is a bill that is trying to be passed through legislation. What we're going to do is I'm going to open this up. First and foremost, Brother D. Duncan, how you doing out there, my brother? The first thing that I believe that we have to come to a realization is that we have to have comprehension to even really know what's going on, because you can look at it from an outside level or look at it from an inside level. You know, that's what brothers like me and yourself try to do, is give them that inside look of what's really going on instead of looking at it from the outside view. So before we get straight into the Token Taxonomy Act, it's a couple of stories that I wanted to bring to the family just to put on record that have, in a sense, it's easy for me to segue into the Token Taxonomy Act through these two stories. So the first one is pertaining to smart contracts and actual contracts. And the story was brought to us by, it was a Cointelegraph, and it was dropped on the 8th. And it is entitled, "Smart Contracts Are No Problem for the World's Legal Systems, so long as they behave like legal contracts." So one would say, okay, what's the difference between a smart contract and a legal contract? A contract is a contract, right? Contract makes the law. Just go into the story. It says cryptocurrencies have been a headache, if not a nightmare, for the law. Yeah, they've been giving the law a run for their money. I believe it was Brother Coleman, Crypto Pimpin', that first shared. He's the first person I see say that cryptocurrencies will not bend to the law. The law is going to bend to cryptocurrency. When I seen that, that was a very powerful statement, because I mean, it's just code. You're not going to get, and then it's damn near like its own entity. But anyways, that was a rough statement. So we're going to get into the fact that laws are now being put in place to circumvent or go along with cryptocurrency as it is. Ever since Ross Ulbricht launched the Silk Road online marketplace in February 2011, Bitcoin and its ilk have been distributing the ability of authorities to police the globe and to ensure that norms, regulations, and laws are being observed. For a while, it was believed that the smart contract, essentially, if if then instructions written into and executed by a blockchain, would do something very similar to the law itself, coming into potential conflict with the globe's legal systems and their jurisdiction over our behavior. Very strong statement right there, if you really comprehend law and how it's grabbed a hold of everybody. However, in a blog written toward the end of January, law professor Gisela Rule argued that smart contracts don't necessarily conflict with traditional contract law, and that international law, specifically the European Union's Rome I regulation, remember we are under the submission of Rome, and then, like, when you read certain stuff and you got certain like foreknowledge, when you read it, it means something totally different from anybody else just ran through that like Rome I regulation, like like complete power. But it applies to them. This was a rare affirmative statement that blockchain-based contracts can be seamlessly integrated into the globe's existing legal frameworks, all without there needing to be a significant overhaul of said framework. But while other legal experts agree with Rule's overhaul analysts, some questions whether it's still too early in the life of smart contracts to conclude that they won't cause problems for the world's existing legal frameworks. What's more, international law encompasses more than just the European contract law. That's funny. While even within the UE, there's still the question of how individual member states will enact the wrong regulation. I'm gonna tell you something real interesting about that, brother Duncan and family. I promise y'all, I have not read this article yet today. Every time I bring y'all an article, it's fairly new, and I'm just reading it for the first time along with y'all. Since yesterday, but I opened up and actually shared a picture of it today. I have a contract law, selected source and materials, and today when I started reading, yesterday when I first opened it up and I was picking the chapter I was going to go to, I was reading over the principles of European contract law. That's kind of that's funny. That's funny. This is actually a book that holds several articles within the UCC Unified Commercial Code book. It got Article 1, 2, 3, 9, commercial paper and secure transactions, which I highly suggest anybody within the cryptocurrency world go read UCC Article 9, secure transactions. Definitely a very interesting read. Let's see. Moving right along. Smart contracts are legal contracts when they're legal contracts. Okay, I see I hear the parable. I can agree with that. The main claim put forward by Rule in her blog was that smart contracts are subject to international law, with the Rome I regulation being the piece of law that determines the legality of all civil and commercial contracts in the UE. More specifically, she contends that Rome I is capable of assigning smart contracts to particular national legal systems, something that will obviously be useful in cases where it's not immediately clear where a smart contract has been in operation. And this must be a quote. It will usually be possible to assign a smart contract to a particular legal system because the Rome I regulation does not rely on the place of formation or the place of performance to determine the applicable law. Meaning that it ain't about where you from. It ain't about where you at. It's where you from. So Rome I basically says they dictate law any and everywhere that they go. If anybody could read it. But it resorts to connecting factors, namely party choice and habitual residence, which work reasonably well in a globalized and digitalized society. For the most part, other legal experts concur with the main thrust of her analysis. Stephen Meyer and Martin Eckert, blockchain legal experts at the MME law firm in Zurich and Zug, tell Cointelegraph that assuming smart contracts are actually contracts in a legal sense, then international legal frameworks such as Rome I regulation do obviously apply to them. That's interesting. Professor Rowe has correctly stated that the Rome I regulation applies only to contractual obligations in a legal sense, they say via email. Therefore, the decisive question is whether a smart contract can be a contract in a legal sense or not. Pointing out that, and the reason I'm going over this, right? Okay, it has absolutely nothing to do with price action in a sense. So it has nothing to do with y'all filling y'all pockets up. It has more so to do with allowing you to see what the advancement of these cryptocurrencies and this technology is versus just you being able to go buy and sell them. Because I think having a comprehension level of what you're really buying into may help you in the long term for those that are actually looking to the next 100 years and want to pass down any type of digital generational wealth to their children and grandchildren. I think having an understanding of these systems will actually help you in the decision-making process of which cryptocurrencies to go after versus which candlestick is higher. You know what I mean? Moving right along. Where did I leave off at? Pointing out that in general, a smart contract is a computer program recorded on a distributed ledger system executing predefined functions. Meyer and Eckert nonetheless affirmed that three different kinds of smart contracts can be distinguished from a legal perspective, with the first two kinds being subject to the Rome 1 regulation. You need to look up the word subject in the Black Law Dictionary so you have a legal definition of what that word means. And potentially other instances of international law, because everyone over here is subject to the laws of the United States Constitution, or the Constitution as it was written. So just look up subject. One, smart contract of which the code directly represents the content in terms of the agreement. In this situation, the smart contract is a direct manifestation of the legal contract, meaning that it was forged or birthed out of the legal contract from which it came. So the legal contract and then the smart contract came in after. So you have smart contracts that are intended to execute bilateral or multilateral contractual agreements made completely or partially outside of the blockchain, in writing, orally, or by contract. And that sounded something similar to almost like an escrow. Brother Duck, you still with me? In other words, a smart contract is legally enforceable if the terms of a legally binding contract are directly written into it, or if there's an agreement between the relevant parties that is intended to uphold and execute such a contract. Otherwise, smart contracts are just programs not qualifying as contracts in a legal sense, which means the legal framework such as Rome 1 regulation do not apply to them. Nonetheless, this is a long ass, let me see, I don't even know if anyone want to hear all this shit. International and national law. So, in a nutshell, family, basically what they're trying to get at is we'll use tort. We'll use the tort claim, for instance, right? Versus you having to go through the rigmarole of a back and forth thing with, the defense versus the prosecutor, and having the judge be the law of the land. If there was a smart contract or any type of contract put in play beforehand, I believe the smart contract would set precedence, because it is a automatic algorithmic function that functions without any type of human interaction, whereas any type of mistake on anyone's side could not have been made except then outside of that contract. So with that being said, whatever the smart contract would pretty much trump anything else, in my opinion, in my understanding of it. I don't know, but that's basically where we're getting at here. So, Brother Duck, you got anything you want to add on to how the smart contract is being implemented with the law as it sits now? Brother Duck, are you with me? Yeah, you got anything you want to add on to smart contracts as it relates to the law?
On the international scope and national scope in countries, the need for attorneys to govern deals will go away. The need for escrows to secure title to land and acquisition of corporations and businesses will go by the wayside, all because of this mechanism called smart contracts. Title companies as well, because all of these things can be loaded and uploaded on a blockchain and verified by the system itself, which those roles were previously served by long-standing entities. I mean, you want to talk about, I'll give you an example, like Chicago Title, right? Big company here in the U.S. It have not, I think it will be in their best interest to try to find a way to own a smart contract company that's tied to the blockchain. If not, they will be phased out, just like a lot of other companies that are in that space would do the same thing. And so when you have no need for for people to do those type of services, the question remains is, what if then land property is then uploaded and listed online on the blockchain? Then you pair that with the smart contract closing mechanism. You don't need real estate agents anymore. Do you see the domino effect?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's hey, that's the we'll look at that as the macro, and I'm gonna tell you the micro of that, right? That's because that's on the serious level of you not needing human interaction. And it's almost how I said earlier, how this thing is almost like an artificial intelligence and it's its own entity. Because whereas you used to need that person there, that human, to facilitate this, that, and the third, they now knock that out the way with this thing we call blockchain and smart contracts, correct? So much like how now within some of these fast food restaurants, you don't need a cashier. You go in there, you press a button, you order what you want. You either mechanically with your digital pay card, metal card, i.e. credit card or debit card, pay for it. You're now with the thing I think that they haven't figured out at like Mickey D's and Murder King and all that is I meant to say Ronald McFilthy, but the thing they haven't figured out is how to get that food made autonomously. And I ain't even gonna say they haven't figured out, they just haven't implemented it yet. But almost like on a smaller level of the fast food restaurant, now they got the drink machines, whereas they have the automated where it's got all the drinks in one big container and you press the button and it look, that's the micro. Macro is the law being governed by AI. The macro is your everyday life being governed by it. Man, this right here is serious. Definitely serious where this thing is going. But moving right, brother Diaz. So moving right along into the next story, security tokens versus tokenized securities. And always remember, the thing we have to comprehend, law is precise. Law is precise. The way you state and formate your words could mean the difference between two totally different what am I looking for? Comprehension levels, or even what you're saying in a legal sense, you know what I mean? So this right here is definitely something that I think we need to go over. And this was brought to us by CoinDesk. Released on the second, kind of old, but definitely nonetheless as important. And it goes on to say, we need to get more serious about vocabulary. God damn, that was a mouthful. I'll be telling you, I don't be reading this shit before I bring it to y'all, but that was a mouthful right there. The crypto sector has earned a well-deserved reputation for obfuscating. Now, let's see what that word means. Y'all already know me. Me personally, I don't know what y'all do. I don't like reading over words that I don't have a full comprehension of it then, because I don't have a full comprehension of the sentence if it's a word in the sentence that I don't know. Let's see what obfuscating means. Stupidity. Render, obscure, unclear, or unintelligible. Okay, so dumb. All right, so the crypto sector has earned a well-deserved reputation for dumb, for stupidity with confusing jargon and the use of. You see how you make something make more sense to you, family, by just figuring out what the word is and then substituting that word for a similar like word. That way you can get more out of the sentence. But for stupid and confusing jargon and the use of terms for hype purposes has not helped. How many blockchains have chains of blocks? Even the term crypto too is confusing, implying cryptography, which is about secrets, for public transparent protocols. I like where they're going. You also have noticed a proliferation of the term security token. Proliferation. Just so we're all on the same page. Rapid increase in numbers. So you'll notice a rapid increase of the term security token. Platforms are gearing up, issuers are doing their thing, and regulators are paying attention. Last week, I attended a packed event in London titled Security Tokens Realized. And I believe, Mr. Duncan, I know who was there too, in which speakers used the phrase to refer to a wide range of blockchain-based assets. The event coincided with the publication of a consultation paper by the United Kingdom's Financial Conduct Authority on the classification and regulation of crypto assets in general. In fact, Brother Duncan, when we get to the bill, would you like to read certain excerpts out of the bill also along with me? All right, you want me to send a link to you, or do you? Okay, let me get that sent to you real quick. I'm gonna send it to you via inbox real quick. If the family can, give me 1 second. Let me get this sent over to Brother D. Duncan. But definitely good information right now being shared. Family, if we got any comments, any questions out there, please don't hesitate to ask. Even though I'm not able to read along with it as I'm reading, I believe, Brother Duncan, you are watching the chat. Okay.
We turn our volume up down a little bit so we don't have
right, reverb. All right, so I just sent that through to your through to you.
I got you.
All right. Let me get back over here to the story. All right, where we at? Well, hold on. Where do we leave off at? Proliferation is where we left off at. There we go. So you'll also notice they overuse the term security token. Platforms are gearing up, issuers are doing their thing, and regulators are paying attention. Last week, I attended a PAC event in London titled Security Tokens Realized, in which speakers used the phrase to refer to a wide range of blockchain-based assets. And what this speaker or this person is speaking on is that he believes that they are erroneously using this term to almost like what's the term that we use in general, but it really doesn't have a general sense. I'll think of something in a minute, but that's basically what she's saying. Like, y'all really using that in the incorrect. Okay, person. Real easy. We'll use the word person, for instance. Individuals out there think that the word person just means one thing, meaning you and me, we're a person, but it's also, in all actuality and in the legal sense, incorrect. Person can mean anything from a corporation, an association, a partnership, an estate, a trust, and a number of other things. You know what I'm saying? That's just a legal definition of the word person. So much like that, she's saying that they're using this not in the right legal framework. The story goes on to state, the event coincided with the publication of a consultation paper by the UK's Financial Conduct Authority on the classification of regulation of crypto assets in general. The authors reinforced the broad use of the term, defining it as any token that represents a recognized asset or investment concept. I'm gonna say that again. They define it as any token that represents a recognized asset. What is a recognized asset, Brother Duncan? Can you give us an example?
Silver, any type of commodity, real estate, any type of paper asset. Those are all what you would categorize as a recognized asset.
Exactly. And then we also have an investment concept, meaning they are allowing you. Let's stop for a second and break down the word concept and what the word concept means. Concept means it has not been materialized yet. It's still in its manifestation. It's still basically in the ethers, so it basically ain't there yet. So they're allowing you to now tokenize ideas, which damn it, a whole crypto space is. Little do people know, Brother Duncan. A lot of these coins, just great ass ideas, ain't no implementation. But then we look at Pundi X, something like that. There is not, I'm telling y'all that right now, there is not that many tokens. Like, honestly, man, I'm trying to think who really has a product out there. Who really, other than like, okay, Ethereum, you can build stuff, okay, that's up and running. But I'm talking about a product that is going global. 10X, they CEO went down and got charged with all type of fraud, so their card is over with, so they don't count. I mean, I don't know. I can't really name one that's doing anything on the level of Pundi X, but just allowing you to tokenize both physical assets and non-physical assets is something that I think we need to grasp our mind around and really comprehend what's going on, because you could have ownership or control over said valuable items and you may want to tokenize them. You know what I mean? What's stopping you from tokenizing and throwing your not even that. You can tokenize your intellectual property. A lot of y'all don't even know that. I'm gonna stop right there though. But we should be careful. Often when we say security token, we mean tokenized security. Both are compelling concepts, but they are not the same thing. Using them interchangeably is both confusing and misleading. That's the biggest one. It's misleading because almost like the terms that we use today, when we are speaking in a court of law, tort, contract, the language ain't the same language as they taught y'all. So, you know, I think that, man, I'm loving the way this story is going because it's exposing a lot more so than what they're just speaking about. You know what I mean? Let me see. Where do we leave off? They imply different constructs, different investors, and potentially different regulation. And conflating the two isn't doing justice to either. So what really is the difference between a security token and a tokenized, I already said, a tokenized security. Okay, in the first instance, token is the noun and security acts as the adjective or the qualifier. Man, I love this speech shit. It's a new technology, because when you really go back and now I'm gonna show something to y'all in a minute. It's an old test that came out. Having the questions they got on there, I guarantee the average adult right now cannot answer. This shit crazy. But I'm gonna bring it up at the end of the build. Let me see. So remember what a noun is. Remember what an adjective is. You gotta really go back into grade school to figure out what's going on. Because as we get older, and this is just the way that they teach us, we don't comprehend that they really run over things as a crash course, just get you to answer whatever, so that you know it for that momentary, and then you can really easily forget it. Because a lot of us, if I've used words like convection, adjective, a lot of us wouldn't really be able to give the actual definition of what those words mean. And I was once one of those people as a grown-up, you know what I'm saying, couldn't get the definition until I start researching words, terminology, etymology, and I'm like, damn, we really don't even know what the hell we be saying out here.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in the instance, a new technology aspect is or should be the main focus. Some tokens are classified as securities, others are not. And some are so new in concept that regulators struggle with which rules to apply. I remember when I first got into cryptocurrency, and I may still have the law, man. I was reading the Virtual Currencies Act, and back then, when you look at their guide, the FBI's guide to gambling with digital or virtual currencies, they were like, their direct quote was, we have as yet not, it said something like we don't know yet, like there's nothing, we haven't, right, meaning it's lawless, meaning there is nothing governing it, like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. So that's it's real funny when we're reading right now that even now in the day of tokenized securities or security tokens, they're sort of like throwing it up for a toss, like, shit, what is this? You know what I mean? You wanted to add anything, brother Duncan? Okay. Using them interchangeably is both confusing and leading, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Okay, we went through all that. Okay. A token that pays out dividends, right? Now, some tokens are classified as securities, others are not, and some are so new in concept the regulators struggle with which rules to apply. A token that pays out dividends, a security, a token that confers access to content. Not so clear. So, what are some examples of a token that confers access to content? Steam. We'll use Steam for instance. What is Steam? Is Steam a security? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just connected to a social platform that you're allowed to. I mean, it could be worthless. Yeah, you can give it to people for their post and whatever else, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, that doesn't exactly give it any type of value. You know what I mean? That's like if Facebook was to make a Facebook coin, what the hell would give it value? What would make you want to go and get Federal Reserve notes for this Facebook coin? At the end of the day, it just confers access to the content that's on Facebook. We get where we're going with this? So in the second, there are obviously securities. The function is the same as off-blockchain assets. They just run on a different technology. This makes their regulations easier. As financial authorities around the world have pointed out, the technology is not the focus, and I'll say this, but the use case is. In a traditional, remember, it's not the technology, family. It's what the hell is the operation of this technology. In a traditional security that is traded differently, is easier to categorize and understand than a new type of asset that is making us rethink old definitions. And that's what's giving these old legal heads the flux right now, bro. As far as them implementing any type of new law, like they can't get out of their way of thinking of how old law, because all law is based off Christian theology, all law, contract law, everything. And for them to get out of the state of mind of what this, and it was based on American jurisprudence, which came from jurisprudence, which originally came from the Moors. I had to add that in. But for them to try to have to tweak that now to this new, because like I said, this is artificial intelligence. It also grows with an intelligence. It also makes us rethink the ways we are doing things. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly right.
And that's what we're seeing right here. They're like, well, shit, we can't. Man, just let me go on. If we keep calling them both the same thing, we are doing each a disservice. Taking it a step further, tokenized securities are putting a new wrapper around a familiar asset with a view to broadening the market and enhancing liquidity. It's not so much a new product for the regulators as it is a new distribution channel, which is much easier to approve. Security tokens, on the other hand, are a new product. The challenge, pay attention now, peep game. The challenge for regulators and investors is much greater in that the ramifications and the risk are harder to figure out. This is not to belittle the innovation behind tokenized securities. On the contrary, the relative simplicity, they're simple, this shit is not hard, means that we are likely to see many enter the market in the short term. Brother Duncan. And while supply is likely to outstrip demand, at least at first, their trading will help investors and regulators to get familiar with the blockchain-based market. So they basically got to open the door and let these things come in order, because you can't do any type of research on something that has not yet manifested. You can't be like, okay, we're going to pass a law on this, that, and the third. You don't even know how it's going to react. So they have to let these things go willy-nilly Wild West in order for them to then do data on it and then create the laws wrapped around the way that these entities operate.
So let me fill in what you just said. You know what 2017 was?
What was 2017, my brother?
Okay, so if we go back and look at the chart, I believe Bitcoin was around 500, it's 500 and 750 Q2 of that year. Then we get into Q3, Q4. That's when we saw a parabolic move to the upside, almost to $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly what you just described, Mr. Amir, is that we had a test run of the system. Because it came to a point where so many people were onboarding in Bitcoin, if you remember, that it would take hours to clear the blockchain on Bitcoin. You guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember when it was on. I got live feeds of watching it, because you used to be able to, you can still do it. You can go to blogs and how many unconfirmed transactions there are on the blockchain. Yes, sir. I remember that, my brother.
Right. So since that time, the market went bare. Every major crypto on the top, most of the top 10 cryptos have been quietly developing faster hardware. Why are they doing that? And all the while, you're starting to hear from government, you're starting to hear from the private sector, STO. Then you look at your commodities, right? You look at your hard assets. I said this in a post yesterday, reading the tea leaves. I really believe that all commodities will be tokenized.
Not just commodities. I'm gonna break one down even further down for you, Brother Duncan.
Yes.
And this is not to be scary or anything like that, family, but when we look at the amount of debt that the world is in and how they have already numbered each and every human being as a corporate entity, being your social security number. In the UK, I forgot the name. Man, they got the numbers everywhere. But don't think they're not going to then tokenize, i.e., property, which is you, in the near future, and allow it to be a form of citizenship. What's your token number? Don't think that shit ain't gonna happen, family. I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna do. They're gonna test run it on the inmates first. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna stop there though.
Yeah. So I was just, that's very interesting what you just said.
Hey, look, the way my mind works, Brother Duncan. Hey, they not. I need to stop it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really, really, really need to stop.
Yeah. So, to go back to what I was saying, with the test run, they found the flaws in the system, and they ran into scaling issues. So you have all of these new technologies, the Lightning Network and Casper for Ethereum. You have X-Ray now for Ripple. All of these things to speed up the transmission of transactions on these blockchains. Well, what will motivate them to do this? Because I believe that was a beta test of the system. Okay,
Interesting.
I really do believe 17 was a beta test of the system. We're going to see another test of the system going into 2020 to the upside, and I believe based on the amount of infrastructure that is being developed on the blockchain side, it's all digital infrastructure that's being implemented, right? We're talking faster hardware, cheaper hardware. We're talking about, I'll use Pundiax as an example. The mining rigs is really the problem with Bitcoin. You have to use these supercomputers. Right. There are other companies out now that are using nodes instead of mining rigs because they're more efficient, they're faster, they process transactions, confirm transactions at a much faster speed. Another example is Binance Chain. I was watching CZ the other day, and CZ said that one block confirmation, yes, one block confirmation will take 1 second. 1 second to confirm a block on Binance Chain. Brother, I've never heard that in crypto. The type of things where you get to that level where you can confirm transactions in 1 second. That's called mass adoption type technology and hardware. And so that's what's happening. This is why, folks, family, we have not seen a bull run because people that control this industry called blockchain have all been behind the scenes developing better and more efficient technology to help scale in mass adoption.
Did y'all hear what he just said? I hope they can hear you clearly. I hope everything is coming through clearly. Thank you, Brother Tim, Brother Kyle. Brother Loud. Peace. Grand rising to everybody. I'm glad we are all tuning in and catching this game right now. Did y'all hear what Brother Duncan just spoke on? If not, this is going on the podcast, New Money Matrix podcast. You will be able to listen to this later on for those that are listening in. But this right here, the future, and it's not even the future. There's nothing but the now. That's the thing we really need to quit saying that, in the future, man. Ain't no future. It is only ever the now, family. This is what's going on right now. Let me show y'all something. This even goes along with what I was speaking on with the tokenization of humans. For those that out there, my secure party creditors, for those that know what the birth certificate actually is, check this out. So check this out. Tell me they're not going to be here we go. Tell me they're not going to tokenize each and every one of your offspring. For those that have really done the research on what the birth certificate is. And it's always Chicago and Illinois is at the forefront of these things. So what is that, Mr. Duncan? If you can see on the screen, if it's come up yet, maybe a little bit. Yeah, maybe a little bit late. For those, give it a second. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna tell y'all exactly what it says. Illinois launches blockchain pilot to digitize birth certificates. What? Come on, man. I don't play with this shit. Hey, I don't play with this, man. I'm telling y'all what they have in play here. I'm gonna send you some reading material on the birth certificate, Brother Duncan. But for those that don't know, like if you can ask my 12-year-old son, ask him what a birth certificate is. He gonna tell you real quick. It's a warehouse receipt. You are property. You did sign a certificate. When you do the Black Laws study on what a certificate exactly is, it provides a certificate of ownership. So you signed a certificate and whatever. But going right along though, back to what we were talking about, security tokens. So what are y'all gonna be? Y'all gonna be security tokens or tokenized security? And this shit is deep. Oh man. Get right along with the story. Let's keep it crypto though. Where did I leave off at? That's when there's innovation. Exactly.
Exactly. This is something to where, like you were saying, the government understands, right, that they cannot control cryptocurrencies.
Facts.
Right. So why would we try to play in that pond when we have all of these stocks and all of these paper assets that's been doing us so well in their minds for so many years, why don't we just create a system that we can control? Security tokens. So this gives a company like Tesla, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, all of the Fortune 500 companies that are listed on the Dow Jones, on the NASDAQ, all of these stock exchanges, right? They can now come over and have an STO offering, which is just like an ICO, but they own it. They, meaning the Securities Exchange Commission, owns the right to regulate what goes on with these tokens. And so this is the reason why we have, again, no trajectory really in cryptocurrency, is because everybody's waiting, it seems. Well, not everybody. Let me rephrase that. America is waiting on security tokens. The rest of the world is moving at lightning clip speeds against America when it comes to dumping the U.S. dollar, the petrodollar. How do I know this? You can look at Venezuela. They have their own crypto for their country. It's nationalized. You can look at Dubai. Is creating their own digitized version of the Dubaian dollar over there. You can also look at Iran. They just launched their own cryptocurrency that's backed by gold. I mean, the case studies go on and on. If you're paying attention to what's going on in the news, you know, I don't watch news every day, but I do look for earmarks. And one of the things that I'm watching very closely is the nationalization of countries' dollars, meaning they're moving away from paper money and everybody's jumping into, especially the sanctioned countries of the world, they're jumping into digital dollars.
Facts. They get they say, hey, this right here, people don't understand what this is, Brother Duncan. Like, this is freedom. This is sovereignty. This is the true definition of being one's proper person and being able to operate and do commercial transactions outside the jurisdiction of anybody.
Right. See, people don't understand. What would motivate, think about it, what family, crypto family, everybody that's listening, what would motivate a nation, a whole country, to dump paper assets, to dump dollars? I'll tell you simply this. It's because they don't own it. It's run by a banking cartel. And so when you don't own your own currency as a country and they levy these sanctions, and most people don't know what a sanction is. Basically, a sanction restricts you from commercial trade. Okay? It restricts you from participating in the global market space efficiently, right? There's a whole bunch of hoops that you have to jump through. It quilches or chokes your economy so that you cannot realize growth every year, annually, right? And it's all because of these paper dollars. Who owns these paper dollars? It's the Rothschild organization over in Europe. The Rothschild banking family runs that whole economic central bank system. So you have these sanctioned countries saying, to hell with this. We are going to digitize our money and get from underneath this craziness, and we're going to participate in global trading. What does that do for those countries? Now that they can trade globally, their gross domestic product begins to increase. Now that they can participate in the global markets, now they can develop new technologies. These are things that the West does not want to see happen in these areas, because most of the reason natural resources are in these areas that they no longer can control. So this is what it all goes back to. It's control of resource.
Hey, man, you either gonna be with this or get ran over. I promise you. Yeah. People are going to be living in a stone age, stacking them pieces of paper up, bro.
Yeah,
Like you're going to be hot. Look, and I'm gonna keep pushing this. If you guys are bringing new life into this world, get them a digital wallet. Start stacking their digital wallet. It's cool to get them a bank account, but I doubt there's gonna be any type of central bank in the next 18 years. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, I mean, I just posted an article before we started this live that the Rothschild family just sold off their trust.
What?
They haven't done that since World War II.
Somebody else. Hold on. Somebody else just did the same. Thank you, Brother Duncan. Thank you. Keep going. My fault.
No worries. So you can go back to my page and look at the link is right there in my last post.
Let me go grab that. Because that is key.
So they haven't done that since World War II. Okay. So if the Rothschild sells off their interests in their banking system, my question is,
wow,
what happens to the commercial banks in an economic collapse environment? That's the post that I just put. Right. So if the bottom falls out of the banks and the stock market, what's gonna stop it this time? There will be no bailouts. They just sold off their interest in the banking system.
Man, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. You just fucked my head up with that one, Brother Duncan. Cause look at
what just happened with Wells Fargo. You think that just happened?
Wow.
Nothing just happens. We've never seen nothing like that before. All of a sudden, you having Wells Fargo Bank since 2010 has had problems with their image, with liquidity, with stealing money from their clients.
Yes.
All kind of lawsuits. Lady Warren on the Hill just gave him a death blow about 18 months ago. Just tore up the CEO in front of Congress and the Senate. And ever since then, things have been all bad for Wells Fargo. Okay, so you had a lot of clients leave your bank. Liquidity is low, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you enter into a bearish environment. Folks, make no mistake about it. Family, we are in an absolute bear market when it comes to stocks, bonds, mutual funds, equities, all of these paper asset classes, right? So this couple of days ago that was just a telltale sign of how much liquidity that Wells Fargo has. It's not much. It's not much. There are people that didn't receive their direct deposits from their paycheck.
And you want to know why, family? As I told you all in my book. Hold on, oh man, go ahead, Brother Duncan. I'm gonna bring an excerpt up out of my book, and I hope everyone out there can purchase a copy because I go in directly into this in my book. Go ahead, Brother Duncan. Let me bring this up real quick.
This is what I am sharing here, family. These are not my opinions, right? I bring you documented facts of these situations. Everything I'm telling you, literally everything I'm sharing with you right now, you can pull it up on Google. And from the Rothschilds selling off their trusts to Wells Fargo not paying their customers, right, to all of the nationalized currencies that I was talking about, all of that stuff is documented. It's not hyperboles. So when you have this type of environment, my question is, what's going to happen when the hammer drops? If you remember in 2008, here's another example. AIG, the golden boy of all insurance companies in this country, came seconds away from collapsing. Now, who is AIG? That's the big insurance firm that most of the people on the Hill have insurance policies with. Okay, so we're not talking about a small firm. If there is no liquidity in the market to soften the blow this time, that means the insurance company's going to go under this time as well.
Mm.
Along with the banks.
Do y'all hear this?
Along with the banks.
Do we understand what's being said?
So if you think in 2019, if you have not retired and are on Social Security, if you think for 1 second that Social Security is going to be around in the next 20 years, if you think for 1 second that government aid for Section 8 and what do they call it, food stamps, all of these things are going to be around, I got news for everybody that's listening. It's not. It's not.
So let me hit them with a little excerpt out the book, family. This is from the chapter Bitcoin to Genesis. Out of chaos comes order, and I go on to state, hey, look, brother, I wrote this book 2 years ago when I was like a baby to this stuff, and the stuff that I wrote in this book, I swear to God, I'm like, man, it ain't nothing. I knew more than I thought I knew. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
But I go on to say, Bitcoin was created in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, where a number of banks and other financial institutions failed across the world and had to be bailed out by the government and left us, the taxpayers, to foot the bill. Yes, we were the ones who ate the debt once again. One term we should be familiar with, family, is fractional reserve banking. As a result of this, as an example of this, say you give the bank $10,000. The bank doesn't actually keep it all. It is allowed to legally spend up to $9,000 of your money and only keep $1,000. In the United States, the reserve requirement or percentage of net deposits the banks are actually required to keep in liquid financial instruments, which is that's all cash is. It's a liquid financial debt instrument. It's an instrument. Liquid means how many actual Federal Reserve notes are there. Free cash for withdrawals is generally 10%, fam. They only got 10% of y'all money in them banks, man. Yeah. So do your due diligence and research. Just for example, if a bank's net worth, right, is $1 million, the bank only needs to keep $100,000 in cash on hand at any given time. So basically, banks stay open by utilizing our money. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, if every customer at the bank where you bank at wanted to withdraw all of their money at the same time, it would be impossible because the bank doesn't have it. A bank can quickly become drained of all its liquid funds. Why not become your own bank? And family, this is an excerpt out of the book, The Puzzle Revised 2.0. This is out of the chapter, The Genesis, Bitcoin to Genesis, Out of Chaos Comes Order. If you haven't grabbed this book, you definitely need to. It's definitely got some jewels in it there. Once I reread the book myself, I'm like, damn, man, there's some jewels in here. But, family, that's how the bank works. These are facts. This is not opinion. This is not conspiracy theorists. Like some people would think this is a conspiracy theory, but they're digitizing the birth certificates in Illinois. But no, these are just facts, family. Also, I just posted, I went to the page, The Creature from Jekyll Island, a second look at the Federal Reserve. I suggest, and people looking at the cut, it's $109. It's $34. Okay, get the audio CD for $18. Better yet, if you really can't find it, I will send you the PDF file for a donation price. So if you really want to get into this is definitely something that you want to check out. Getting right back along with the story. Now this one right here is definitely something I'm gonna have to come back. I'm gonna mix this in with another story. This Rothschild selling their trust services. And family, if y'all only knew how important, like that's scary in a sense. You understand what this system is held up by. Let me get through with this story, then we're gonna get right over to House Resolution 7356, family. We've been going on an hour. We haven't even got to the actual bill yet, but don't worry, it's coming. Drawing an analogy from the development of the internet. Okay, these are jewels, though. It don't even matter. Like, we haven't even gotten to the meat and potatoes. Tokenized securities are like the attempts to replicate print magazines online. Access was fundamentally changed and the content's reach was multiplied, but the format was similar. Security tokens are more like those applications that nobody could foresee. Snapchat, Twitter, Tinder, and connected dog collars that monitor your pet's fitness, excuse me. Both concepts are useful, but only one changed how we run our lives. Keep that. Dig that. Change how we run our lives, man. The same with blockchain-based assets. Both will transform capital markets, improving inefficiencies and access, but only one will change what we understand capital markets to be. To give the concept of security tokens the support and space it needs, we should clarify what we mean by the term and stop lumping everything with security-like characteristics under its umbrella. Tokenized securities are already here, and we are likely to see a lot of progress in this front over the coming months. Security tokens, on the other hand, are still finding their place on the innovation scale. Their needs are different from their more familiar brethren, and the sooner we start separating the concepts, the sooner we can get our minds around the potential ahead. So, family, that right there, I mean, just them two stories alone brought out an hour-long conversation. Two stories that were probably 5 minutes apiece. You understand what I mean? That's called building. That's called creating a foundation with which you can stand on when you're able to get with individuals and build on such subjects like this. Music nowadays. If I don't listen to music and I can't go into a conversation like we just had about security tokens about the music, I don't even listen to this shit because that means it has no substance. That one article we just read brought out so much substance out of me and brother D. Like, we'll fill your cup up, man.
Yeah.
You know, fill your cup up. What we're gonna do before we get over here to the Token Taxonomy Act, because I'm running up an hour on the podcast already, I'm going to end my podcast real quick, and I'm going to start a new one and just connect it with the old one. That way I can continue on with the recording. Brother Duncan, if you want to take over and feed anything to the family while I get this situated. Thank you.
I want to check the group. Does anybody have any questions? You know, we can talk about this stuff, but what kind of questions do you guys have, if any? I'll just pause for a minute to go ahead and let people ask a few questions, and then I'll proceed on here.
Let me know if y'all can hear Brother Duncan. Make sure he's still clear.
There's a lot going on in the world, so you know, I know it's very hard for a lot of people because they don't have the time to really pay attention to global events, but they really are framing and shaping our future and our now.
And that's why we're here, brother. That's why we're here to actually bring that information to the people. Like this last hour, one hell of a build. Like one hell of a build. I damn near make this right here. In fact, I'm gonna make this separate from the actual Token Taxonomy Act. This is gonna be the prelude. Don't even worry. Let me go ahead and take this and get this on the podcast. You can go ahead. If anybody's got any questions, any comments, anything we've gone over, family, please do not hesitate to ask. Please do not hesitate to ask. We're not over here talking about. Thank you, brother Cottrell. Thank you for that donate. Thank you for that donate. Family, we're really not here talking about so much price action as we are talking about simple comprehension of the future or the now that we're slowly being molded into going into.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I agree.
He said companies are buying back their own stock to keep the price up. That money came from the last tax break for the rich.
Yeah, there's a term for what he's talking about. It's called ZERP. Yeah, ZERP. It's a 0% interest rate policy that was initiated shortly after 2008. That was basically to drive stimulation in the economies of the world. So, you know, basically what that did was allow corporations, big corporations, to borrow money from the Federal Reserve at 0% interest rates.
Wow.
And what they did was they took the money from the Fed and began to buy back their stocks, and that's what caused the 10-year bull run in the stock market. So we go back to what I was talking about. economics. You have to understand economics in these days and times. There's no way around it. Financial literacy will not stand in the future, in the coming now, and in the future. We have to level up our minds when it comes to finances. So in last year, 2018, the Fed began to initiate increasing interest rates to curtail inflation. That was a telltale sign that the days of ZERP, which was 10 years, were over. So now these companies that were getting 0% interest rates for 10 years now have to pay, let's say, 2% to borrow money from the Fed. This will have an impact. How? Normally, when you have to pay money that you aren't used to paying, the first thing to go is what? Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The liquidity in the market is not what it once was because the reserve is no longer available, right? And so this will have an impact on global trade, on global economies, because there's not a lot of liquidity as it once was. So now companies have to be more judicious and fiduciary with the monies that they have in their corporations, which drives.
Go ahead, my brother.
Which drives down liquidity in the market. And so when you have the biggest trust in the world, Rothschild Bank or Rothschild Trust Services, pulling out of the market the way that they did, and the Fed increasing interest rates, that's called chaos. That's literally called chaos. So I think that we are going to see one of the largest economic drops in the stock market that we've seen since the 30s. I really believe that. I really believe that that's going to happen. So my question to everyone, and this is not just for the U.S., by the way, this is going to happen around the world. So my question to you is, what are you doing to prepare yourself right now?
I hope you heard that. Yeah, and I hope we're getting prepared. Crypto do it all the time, almost like a buyback. Yep. That's almost the equivalent of burning. I would say.
Yeah. Yep.
Good morning, brother Agnes, brother Crimes. How we doing? So getting over into the actual meat and potatoes now. Let me go ahead and get this podcast back started up.
Yeah, let's serve up that filet, man.
Hey, this is tomatoes right here. Now, in fact, as an introduction to it, because I don't want people thinking that this is an act that's been passed or anything like that. Let me see. Let me get a story. So I want to open it up with a story, letting them know exactly what it is, versus us thinking that it's something that is already being implemented. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Here we go. We got something coming out of Forbes. Yeah, I definitely, because one thing that I always tell you, you have to think about your fan base. Who's tuning into your information? Things that you're printing. Who's listening when you speak? And Forbes, goddamn it, when they speak, for those of us that are not on that tax bracket, we definitely want to pay attention because they're speaking to those that actually make moves and move the game that we in.
Yeah, they're speaking to the boardroom people.
So they got a story here. Man, I should have signed up for that. I didn't even see what it says. It said crypto financial or something. You drink that water for now. You got breakfast up there too, just in case you're hungry. It says crypto startups are fleeing the U.S. This bill is trying to stop them. Very, very, very interesting. Okay, hold on. Let me get my podcast started here. Peace, family. Hold on. Oh, hey, this is very, hey, brother, when you read this bill, like I said, I don't know how many people have had a chance to actually read the bill. Also, I wish I had my black laws here because there's a lot of terms, even when we understand what a bill is, what a act is, but I'm not going to go into all that. We're just going to read it. Peace, 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 family. New Money Matrix podcast coming right back. We are actually getting into the actual Token Taxonomy Act, House Resolution 7356. And it's going to be read by I and Brother Duncan himself. Do you have it pulled up on your end, Brother Duncan? Okay. First thing we're going to do, just to open up the doors to it, we're going to read a story that was brought by Forbes on January 10th, and it states, crypto startups are fleeing the U.S. This bill is trying to stop them. Just to give you a sort of an update or insight on the bill that we're going to be going over. I wish I could make that little thing disappear. Anyways, in the fall of 2018, Republican Congressman Warren Davidson was meeting with a cryptocurrency entrepreneur in Massachusetts. The CEO was deciding where to locate his startup, and they were discussing the regulatory uncertainty surrounding digital currencies and initial coin offerings. But that's good, dude. That dude got in his ear. I did this already, but he got in his ear like, man, look, it's billions over here, but you gotta open the door. Gotta open the door. I'm telling y'all what the conversation was in a nutshell. The entrepreneur told, and I haven't read this yet, so let's see what they're going to say. The entrepreneur told Davidson, look, it's nothing personal. We just don't trust that you guys are going to get this done right. Wow. So we're feeling kind of Swiss. Implying he might move to Switzerland. That's a money move, fam. I'm going to tell you what he definitely said to his face. Look, y'all might fuck this shit up. So this billion that I got right here, I might take this to Switzerland and do my business over there. I don't know what y'all doing over here in the U.S. That's what he told this Republican. But he said he's implying he might make a move to Switzerland, a country with an arguably more business-friendly approach to crypto regulation. Meaning y'all can bring y'all money over here. We ain't tripping about where it came from. Over the past few years, most companies that create digital tokens and sold them through ICOs assume they wouldn't be deemed securities. But when regulators think otherwise, startups can face major legal trouble, as we've recently seen with the case of AirFox, Paragon, which Paragon did rectify themselves and started shooting up after that, and Basis. In December, Warren Davidson introduced a new digital token bill aiming to kill the uncertainty and keep innovation inside U.S. borders. He's trying to keep those millions and billions of dollars that's ready to pour in within the U.S. jurisdiction. And also notice, family, as I tell y'all, I'm going to keep telling y'all to pay attention to this. They state U.S., not USA. You're not going to see USA really stated anymore when they speak, especially in commerce, because the USA has absolutely nothing to do with commerce. Only the U.S., which is the fictional entity. Yada, 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 yada. But you're going to just pay attention to that because it really makes sense. The SEC stance has caused a massive flight of startups to offshore jurisdictions, says Caitlin Long, a former managing director at Morgan Stanley who helped Wyoming pass new blockchain legislation last year. Lawyers right and left were telling clients, don't issue tokens to U.S. investors and don't domicile in the U.S., putting a black cloud over us. Marco Santori, former head of the financial technology group at law firm Cooley and current president of crypto company Blockchain. Yeah, you see the transition he made. He was the head of this. Now I'm the president of this. I'm over here where it's really making sense. Says the present regulatory environment has spawned mostly a state of confusion among entrepreneurs. This is not a good place for American innovation. And family, when they speak like this, you got to understand and comprehend. They're talking about taking money out of this. Is what anytime we talk about this is not good for American innovation, American growth. They're talking about, look, this ain't good economically, man. We already how many trillion in debt, and y'all don't want these people to let these billions come over here. Y'all crazy. Crypto investors also point to regulatory uncertainty as a cause of the crypto bear market in 2018, a period where Bitcoin lost nearly 75% of its value. So once again, the U.S. Regulatory frame to the rescue to f something up. If that stands true, now I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna say something that also goes to show the amount of power that one little country or one little jurisdiction, let me not call it a country, one jurisdictional entity has over the rest of the commercial world when it comes to cryptocurrency. It's like how we think that everyone is waiting for this ETF to be passed. Like, family, I'll keep telling y'all, ETFs and regulations have absolutely nothing to do with me sending money or Bitcoin in this sense from where I'm sitting at right now to somebody in Australia, Uganda, Asia, anywhere. Nothing. It has nothing to do with any of this. They're trying to, this is the cloak. This is the wool they're throwing over y'all eyes. This is only as it pertains to price action. The technology, cryptocurrency being able to bank the unbanked has absolutely nothing to do with any of the stuff they're trying to allow you or make you think that it has to do with, family. That's one reason we're bringing this information in. In February 2018, Switzerland declared that some ICOs are not securities, drawing applause from industry veterans. Today, about 420 crypto and blockchain startups are domiciled there, according to research by PwC and Swiss Blockchain Investment Group (CVVC). Although the U.S. population is 40 times larger, it has just 2,100 such startups. And wait, what? 40% larger has just 2,100 such startups. AngelList reports. In other words, for every 100,000 residents of each country, Switzerland has 5 crypto startups, while the U.S. has only 1. I think they kind of misquoted those numbers. I think they wanted that to be 4,200, not 420. Let me, because I'm like, yeah. So that was a typo on their part. This should be, I believe, 4,200, and this is 2,100. So I'm gonna read that again. For every 1,000, think about this, family. For every 1,000 residents, Switzerland got 5 crypto startups. Out here, we only got 1 for every 1,000. We slow. Let me see. Despite the U.S. having close to 40 times its population, Switzerland has 5 times the amount of crypto startups per 100K. So Tezo, a blockchain platform founded in 2016 by 2 New York-based entrepreneurs, has its governing foundation headquartered in Switzerland. Definity, a high-profile crypto startup whose CEO is based in San Francisco, is incorporated in Switzerland. Media-focused blockchain startup Singular DTV chose Switzerland as its home because it was the only jurisdiction. Remember, they call Switzerland a jurisdiction, not a country. You got to really pay attention to the words they use. It was the only jurisdiction in the world at the time, early 2016, that was actively working to understand blockchain technology and classify ICOs within its regulatory framework. CEO Zach LeBouf said. He adds that since then, Switzerland has adopted a more U.S.-centric approach that has slowed blockchain development there. And that was probably from pressure. That came from pressure from somebody. Okay, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of what we're about to go into. Warren Davidson is trying to make the U.S. more attractive to crypto startups. Before becoming a congressman in Ohio in 2016, the 48-year-old was an entrepreneur and owned a group of manufacturing companies. After he arrived in D.C., he noticed that ICOs were an often discussed problem without a solution. And that's what you got to do in this phase, family. You have to identify problems and make a solution. You make a solution, you will be wealthy beyond your means. A self-described tech geek, Davidson joined forces with Florida it was Florida, not Minnesota, as I told you. He joined forces with Florida Democratic Congressman Darren Soto to release a bipartisan bill in December of 2018. So they just released this bill a couple months ago, the Token Taxonomy Act. Just a few weeks earlier, Davidson had created a stir by releasing a bill to fund President Trump's proposed border wall with public donations. Interesting. With the Token Taxonomy Act, Davidson aims to amend the Securities Act of 1933 and the Securities and Exchange Act of 1934, the laws the government used to define securities, to get the regulatory certainty that I feel like the market needs. The bill's primary goal is to define the criteria for when a cryptocurrency's initial coin offering is a security and when an attempt to exempt some of them from the malign designation. Listen and pay attention, family. Under the new bill, some of the criteria for exemption for security status are: the blockchain platform the token runs on has already launched, the token supply can be controlled by a single person or a group of people. Once finalized, transactions can be altered by a single person or group of people. Person and people being used here in the form of not pertaining to humans like you and I, pertaining to corporations, associations, partnerships, trust in the states. And the token is not a representation of a financial interest in a company, including an ownership or debt interest. Man, what was I reading last night? Or revenue share. Oh, that was the UCC codes. Never mind. Okay, real interesting. I'll tell y'all, read them UCC codes. The stipulation about having already launched. In fact, let me read that over. That was powerful. And pay attention. I'm gonna try to break it down. Under the new bill, some of the criteria, basically, some of what allows a security or exemption from security status, which allows a token or a entity to be exempt from being labeled a security, is that the blockchain platform the token runs on has already been launched. That's one, right? The token supply can't be controlled by a single person or group of people. That's two, right? Once finalized, transactions can't be altered by a single corporation or group of companies. That's three. This is what exempts you from being a security token. Pay attention. And the token is not a representation of a financial interest in a company, including ownership or debt interest or revenue share. That's four. Bucket number four. The stipulation about having already launched a product is important. And I'm glad they said that because I was definitely keeping that. If you want to raise money to sell oranges, right? Definitely like these analogies. And you don't own any oranges or an orange grove, that's a security. Peep game. This is key. Davidson said using a business example that served as a basis for the Howey test, which is definitely something y'all need to check out, the Howey test. A Supreme Court precedent the government also uses to help define securities. But if now the oranges have grown and are in barrels, the oranges are no longer securities. That means if a bill moves forward, crypto startups will need to pursue traditional funding models like angel or venture investments to support operations before they've launched a product. So basically, keep this out. If I myself have access to said apples in my backyard and I want to tokenize those apples are not securities and they do not fall under any security law. If I have precious stones, crystals that I want to tokenize, I can tokenize those and they do not fall under the Security Act if this bill is passed. The Token Taxonomy Act would be a significant advance if it were to pass, says blockchain legislation advocate Caitlin Long. She sees defining a digital security as critical and says the proposed bill follows the model set forth in Switzerland and Wyoming. It would provide a lot of clarity and ensure that the blockchain innovation stays in the US, which is what they're trying to do. These people are really, from an economic standpoint, what they're saying is that, man, y'all really effing this thing up with all these regulations. Y'all scaring the money away. That's basically what they're saying. Manager partner of crypto fund Multicoin Capital, which is a trust. This is designed to precisely help prevent things like bases shutting down. Hoboken, New Jersey-based basis closed its doors in December 2018 due to concerns this product would be deemed a security. They scaring the money away. Ari Lewis, a co-founder of crypto fund Grasshopper Capital, who also consulted Ohio on his project to let business pay taxes in crypto, yes, you're right, says the bill doesn't change the fact that many of these tokens don't have a utility purpose today outside of speculation. That's what I was speaking on earlier, family, telling y'all that a lot of these currencies are just ideas. But one of the problems with the government is that they study everything to death. Kudos to Warren Davidson for trying to make policy change and make a difference. Pay attention to what we just said. I'm going to say that again. One of the problems with the govern your mentality, govern your mental, is that they study everything to death. Kudos to Warren Davidson for trying to make policy change and make a difference. At 9 pages, Davidson's bill is short and narrow in scope, focusing primarily on the definition of a security. This could turn into a bill that would be very long, that would involve 3 or more committees in Congress, he says. By taking slices, not only do we make it easier to create regulatory certainty and go light torch on the regulation, we make it easier to actually move through Congress. This is all they're trying to do. They're trying to make this thing move efficiently and smoothly. Let's make it a smooth transition. This does not have to be hard. The next step for him is to reintroduce the bill, a requirement given that a new Congress started on January 3rd. He expects to do that in a few weeks or a couple of months. And then the bill will go to the Financial Service Committee for review. What are the chances that it will become law? And how long might that take? Davidson expects it to pass, but declined to predict when. And Caitlin Long isn't banking on it. We're not holding our breath, she says. It could take years. So keep that in mind, family. But I do think it's still something that we need to go over because this lets you into the mindset of the people that are dictating our realities and making law that which we have to follow manifest into the reality that we're living. So what we're looking at right now, and this is on an official, in fact, I'm gonna put the link for anybody that wants to read along and look at it themselves. I'll put the link in the actual comment section. Let me get that real quick. There we go. For anybody that would like to take a look at it, also it has been listed.
Awesome.
Let me see to make sure we don't have any questions, any comments. We are the early adopters, definitely, brother. Hey, definitely, we are the early adopters. That's a fact. First and foremost, let me thank everyone that's tuning in right now. We're running in over an hour. So I want to thank everyone that's tuning in with me right now, that's sticking to it, that's really soaking up this information. Brother Duncan, I want to thank you for hanging in there with me, brother. I know it's early. Well, I know when we first started speaking earlier this rising, it was, you were 2 hours behind me, and we started anywhere from 6, 7 o'clock a.m. So
yeah, no worries, man. I like this because I know where things are going. I know where my schedule is going. So I want to get as much content in on the forefront of this year as possible, because we have radio shows that are coming up, like national radio shows that are calling and trying to set up dates. We have national television shows that are calling to have interviews and stuff. So this is going places, man. And Brother Amir will be definitely one of the people I'll be calling to appear on some of this stuff.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into this thing right here. I'm gonna open it on up. And once again, we're looking at congress.gov. This is bill presented to 115th Congress. This is HR 7356, better known as the Token Taxonomy Act. The sponsors of this bill were Representative Davison, or Republican Davison, and Davison was, which one was which? What up, Martin? All right, give me something. Drink some more of that water. We ain't drinking no water. Drink some more water, because I know you ain't been drinking water at your mother's house. Let me see. Committee, House, Financial Services, Ways and Means. Lax action was on December 20th, referred to the Committee on Financial Services, and in addition to the Committee on Ways and Means, for a period to be subsequently determined by the Speaker, and in each case for consideration of such provisions as fall within the jurisdiction of the committee concerned, meaning falling up under the control of that said jurisdiction. So let's get into the text. This is HR 7356. To amend, this is what it was meant to do, to amend the Securities Act of 1933 and Securities Exchange Act of 1934 to exclude digital tokens from the definition of a security, to direct the Securities and Exchange Commission to enact certain regulatory changes regarding digital units secured through public key cryptography, to adjust taxation of virtual currencies held in individual retirement accounts. I'm gonna say that again. To adjust, I'm gonna say that again. To adjust taxation of virtual currencies held in individual retirement accounts, to create a tax exemption for exchanges of one virtual currency for another, to create a de minimis, which a de minimis, what does de minimis means? Something small, not overly, let me show you. Like I said, any words we come across, we're definitely going to take a look at so we have a basic comprehension and knowledge of what we're looking at. Okay, too trivial or minor, like I said, something small to merit consideration, especially in law. Pay attention. This is the thing, family. When we read these things and we don't even know what the hell these words mean, you don't know how big or how small that would have been. So once again, too trivial or minor to merit even a consideration, especially in law. So when we're reading this and we're saying to create a minor exemption from taxation for gains realized from the sale or exchange of virtual currency for other than cash and for other purposes. So you see how that just changed the whole definition of that sentence, just understanding what the word was? Hey, comprehension is key here, people. Comprehension is key. All right. In the House of Representatives, December 20, 2018, Mr. Davidson, for himself, and with Mr. Soto, introduced the following bill, which was referred to the Committee on Financial Services, and in addition to the Committee on Ways and Means, for a period to be subsequently determined by the Speaker, in each case for consideration of such provision as fall within the jurisdiction of the committee concerned. We're going to get into the bill and what they are asking to be implemented. And once again, they go and they restate exactly what they're putting forth here. And they're asking that it be enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Section 1. Say it again.
Can we pause for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead, my brother. You want to elaborate?
Let me bring out something that we might not be quite getting.
Okay, go ahead.
When was the last time the Securities Act of 1933 was amended?
1933.
When did I just say that we're expecting to happen?
Hey.
An economic collapse that will be similar to 1933? So you're telling me that they're basically removing this act, and this will be the new bill that substitutes the 1933 Securities Act?
Hey, what else did I say, Brother Duncan? Crypto will not change for the law. The law is going to change for crypto.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead,
yes.
my brother. I'm gonna pertain to my son real quick. Go ahead.
This is pay attention to what we're saying. It's coming. The hammer is coming. That's why they're doing all of this stuff now. Did the same thing in 33. Go ahead, brother.
Now, you can go ahead and keep implementing. I'm taking care of my son real quick. Give me a couple minutes.
Yeah, so does everybody understand what I'm saying here? If you're reading the bill, I think Brother Amir did put it in the group chat for this particular live. No adjustments have been made to this bill, to the Securities Act of 1933 like this, to make exceptions like this. So that tells me, look, we see the tea leaves, we see what's happening here. We need to enact something prior to the debacle that's about to take place. I really believe this. I really believe that they're making way for digital currencies to really flourish. I posted on my own page this past week that I've gotten confirmation that we have people in Congress and the Senate that work in these capacities. There are a lot of bills on the table right now, all centered around cryptocurrencies and digital currencies to lax the laws of the U.S. so that these things can be utilized without being hampered by things like having a money transmitter's license to do business as a regular business.
In fact, that's Wyoming that just passed that money transmitter license law, was it not? Okay. Just making sure.
See, if you're not holding custody of somebody's crypto, there's no reason for you to have a money transmitter's license because you're not functioning in the capacity of a fiduciary. You're not functioning in the capacity of a bank. That's why they require those money transmitters licenses.
Very good. I think it's about time for us to go ahead and get into this act, man, and what they're trying to pass. So
let's do it.
Section 1, short title. This act may be cited as the Token Taxonomy Act. Section 2, Securities Act of 1933. A, definitions of digital token. Section 2, subsection A of the Securities Act of 1933, 15 United States Code 77B, subsection A, is amended by adding at the end of the following 20, digital token. The term digital token means a digital unit that A, is created in response to the verification. And brother Duncan, at any time, stop me and break down something that you may think needs to be put in layman's terms, please.
Sure.
Okay. Number 1, a digital token. The term digital token means a digital unit that is A, created in response to the verification or collection of proposed transactions, bookkeeping, accounting. 2, pursuant to the rules for the digital unit's creation and supply that cannot be altered by a single person or group of persons. Remember, person is corporate, association, entity. There you go. Persons under common control. Or 3 is an initial allocation of digital units that will otherwise be created in accordance with clause 1 and 2. Oh, do we need to stop and break that down for anybody? Oh, that was pretty, let me see. Okay, moving into section B. A digital token means a digital unit that has a transaction history that is one, recorded in a distributed digital ledger or digital data structure in which consensus is achieved through a mathematical verifiable process. Clause 2, after consensus is reached, cannot be materially altered by a single company or corporation under common control. C, is capable of being traded or transferred between corps without an intermediary custodian. And D, is not a representation of a financial interest in a company, including an ownership of debt, interest, or revenue share. You want to elaborate on something, Brother Duncan? Hey, I told you. Hey, look, if this passes, I'm talking about the levy. The dam is gonna. Okay, opening the floodgates is cool. That's what we're doing right now. That's what's going on. The floodgates are kind of opening. If this bill passes, somebody done went and put about 5 C4s on the side of the dam and just detonated them. I'm telling y'all what's gonna happen if this thing passes.
Do you understand what word that means? Interest or revenue share, especially debt and interest.
Go ahead and break it down for us, brother.
That's these United States version of money. It is not a representation of financial interest in a company, including an ownership or debt or interest. Debt interest. There's no debt in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the most beautiful things about crypto, right? There's no debt attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it does so well. That's why it performs so well, because there's no debt. And this is the thing. When you go back up and you read, they're talking about cash in here. This is all to amend that or clarify that this is not cash. This is digital currency that cannot have any debt allocation towards it. Keep going, bro.
All right. Meaning, family, the cash that you got in your pocket is debt. I'm sorry to say it. You can go and I mean, do anything with it that you can within the jurisdiction of the United States. But the simple fact is it's debt. It's a debt instrument. Like it's and cryptocurrency is not dead. I'm gonna tell you something funny, Brother Duncan. When I look at cryptocurrency, you know what it almost appears to be to me? Secured credit. If you really think about it, secure credit, because it moves in the sense of, think of how credit works, right? Credit is the opposite of debt, correct? Credit is the opposite of debt. Credit is non-tangible. It's only represented by a number, and you can secure credit with debt instruments, correct? So when we look at the purchase or the obtaining of a cryptocurrency using a debtor's note, you're essentially securing credit instruments. Hey, I'm gonna leave this alone, man, because I got a whole nother bill for that one. So definition of a security, Section 2, subsection A1 of the Securities Act of 1933, 15 United States Code 77B, subsection A1 is amended. Amended meaning changed by inserting subsection A after 1 and by adding at the end of the following. Such term does not include a digital token. C, exemption. Section 4A of the Securities Act of 1933, 15 United States, subsection 77 DA. Now remember, before it was BA, this is DA. Pay attention, we're changing it up. Is amended by adding the end of the following. Transactions involving the development. Hold on, in fact, let me go back because I don't think anybody caught number B. Definition of a security. Pay attention to this, family. Definition of a security. For Section 2A1 of the Securities Act of 1933, 15 United States Code 77 BA1 is amended, number 1, by inserting A after 1, and peep this out, and by adding at the end of the following for the definition of a security. Such term does not include a digital token. Did anybody catch that? Did anybody catch that? Moving right along, exemption. Section 4A of the Securities Act of 1933 is amended by adding the end of the following. Transactions involving the development, offer, or sale of a digital unit. The entity developing, offering, or selling the digital unit has a reasonable and good faith belief that such digital unit is a digital token, just a belief. I believe this is a digital token. And B, within 90 days following a written notification from the commission to such person or entity that such digital unit has been determined by the commission to be a security, post public notice of such notification and takes responsible efforts to cease all sales and return all proceeds from any such digital unit, excluding funds reasonably spent on development of technology association within the digital unit. Okay, so for those that may not comprehend what was said, so they're amending by adding the following: transactions involving, okay, so this is the exemption section, right? This is the exemption. They're exempting transactions involved in the development, offer, or sale of the digital unit. If, peep this down, meaning that, let's just say an ICO collected funds, right? And within those funds, right, they're getting looked at, and okay, look, you want to know what's exempt and what's not? Whatever you had to use for the development, offer, or sale of the digital unit, right, can be exempt. Remember, excluding funds reasonably spent on the development of the technology association with the digital unit. But you have to return, right, all proceeds from any sales of such digital unit, excluding that which you use. Man, it's real slick when you really get into the wordplay that they use, because it'll damn near be like, how do I put it? They're saying it's not trickery, but if you don't comprehend what you worded, it seems like it's trick wordplay. Like, man, what do you mean excluding? But basically, just saying, look, anything that y'all got that was extra other than what y'all put in to grow this company, all that extra shit, y'all got to get that back to the people. But what you did put in as far as helping develop the company, you can keep. We're not going to call that a security, but anything else that was left over, those are securities. Am I getting that right, Brother Duncan? Yeah. Okay. Moving right along. Section 3, Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Ooh, this is, hey, the definition of a bank. I'm glad we're getting into this, because look, hey, look, because there's a lot of people talking about this thing is doing this and this thing is doing that, and I tell people all the time, like, do you know what a bank is? Do you know what like, do you truly understand and comprehend what a bank is? And in here, they're even going into amending the definition of a bank. So check this out. Definition of a bank, A, Section 3A6C of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Once again, 15 United States Code 78C A6C is amended. One.
Hold on. Pause.
Okay.
Didn't we just say the Rothschild sold their interest in the banking system?
Yes, we did, sir. Yes, we did, sir.
I mean, come on. Did we just say they sold it?
Man, I promise you.
I know when you see the details will tell you why they sold. Let's find out what happens to the bank now.
Okay. The definition of a bank is Section 3A6C of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934 is amended by inserting, amended meaning it's changed, by inserting or trust company after Homeowners Loan Act, which you need to look up the Homeowners Loan Act, and by striking receiving deposits or exercising fiduciary powers, and striking, meaning they're taking this out, family. Listen to what I'm telling y'all. This is being taken out of the definition of a bank. Receiving deposits or exercising fiduciary powers, which is, that's damn near the whole fucking definition of a bank. And inserting receiving deposits, providing custodial services, or exercising fiduciary powers. Now, do we see the trick of that? Go ahead, brother Doug.
Family, this speaks directly to custodial ownership services such as Fact, NASDAQ, all of these articles that we read at the tail end of 2017 and basically the better part of 2018 of these big corporations wanting to come in and have custodial services. The reason they didn't do it is because there was no law to support it, and they didn't want to take the risk of doing or holding custodial services without something fundamental being in place to give them legal jurisdiction to do it. This bill gives them the right to do this and act as a what? New bank. The new bank. And I posted, Brother Amir, this week. By the time you see crypto banks on the streets, it'll be too late. It'll be too late. It'll be too late. Go ahead, bro.
Moving along. The definition of a security now. Oh man, this bill right here. These two cats, they better watch out because these two cats. Definition of a security. 3A10 of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, 15 United States Code 78C A10. The prior was 78C A6C. Now we're getting into 78C A10. Is amended. Pay attention. Remember, this shit gets a little tricky, family. By inserting A after one and by adding at the end of the following, B, such terms, meaning definition of a security, doesn't, and they're saying this once again, does not include a digital token. Moving right along. Definition of digital tokens. Okay, so what is a digital token? Well, in Section 3A of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, 15 United States Code 78CA, they are going to amend that by adding at the end of the following of digital token. The term digital token has the meaning given to it in Section 2A of the Securities Act of 1933. Clerical amendments. Section 3A of the Securities Exchange Act of 1933, 15 United States Code 78CA is amended by moving paragraph 79 so as to appear. Pay attention to the wordplay, family. To appear, not to actually be, but to appear. You really, really, really got to pay attention to little subtle things. They mean a world of difference. But it's going to appear as if it's after paragraph 78. And by redesignating the second paragraph in 80 relating to funding portal as paragraph 81. Now, I know a lot of this probably don't make no damn sense to anybody right now, but this is why we have to read code regulation acts and statutes. That we understand these shifting of sections, moving this here, moving that there, moving that. You got to understand it. We don't have enough time in the show. We're already going 40. I mean, we're already, what, damn near 2 hours in?
Yeah.
I want to thank you for hanging in with me too, Brother Duncan. I want to thank everyone that's tuned in right now, family.
Yeah, thank you guys. If you're here, that means you're hungry for information.
Definitely. And for those that are tuning in, if you so choose to, also we do take donations in the form of cash app or cryptocurrency. Anything allocated to myself in the form of a donation will be split down the middle with Brother D. Duncan. So for those that do wish to donate, you can always donate via Cash App, ALAMIRAK, or I have posted Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum addresses for those that wish to donate cryptocurrency. And donations are duly appreciated. We do appreciate it. Moving right along. Where do we leave out at? In fact, I'm gonna have to come back and just do another build and really break down exactly what the United States Code is too. I love law anyway, so it don't matter to me. Okay, so Section 4, Investment Advisors Act of 1940. Section 202A2C of the Investment Advisors Act of 1940, United States Code 80B 2A2C, is amended by striking, meaning they're taking out, receiving or exercising fiduciary powers, and inserting receiving deposits, providing custodial services. They're taking out exercising fiduciary powers. But no, they're taking out, they're adding. They're striking that and they're adding, providing. That's for the crypto. Okay, providing custodial services or exercising fiduciary powers. Section 5, Investment Company Act of 1940. Family, this is what I want y'all to realize. We going back and we changing shit that's been in play. 1940, 2000, almost 2020. What's that? 80 years almost. Damn near. So what cryptocurrency has now done has come and totally disrupted not only the financial sector, but the legal sector also. Because it's making us go back and change things that have been in play for, I mean, longer than I've been alive, longer than probably many of you have been alive. That's one thing that we have to comprehend. Section 285 of the Investment Company Act of 1940 is amended by striking receiving deposits of exercise or exercise fiduciary powers, and in certain receiving deposits providing custodial services, or so what they're doing is they're adding providing custodial services into each one of these acts. Getting into statutory control location requirement. Okay, no later than 90 days after the date of the enactment of this act, the Commission shall amend Section 240, 15C, 3 of 3 of Title 17, Code of Federal Regulations. And speaking on the Code of Federal Regulations, I suggest everyone go read 27 CFR 7211 and look at the definitions of such things such as a person. That is in the Code of Federal Regulations. Once again, it's 27 CFR 7211. But Title 17 or 17 CFR to provide that the requirement of a satisfactory control location is fulfilled by protecting a digital unit as defined under Section 2A of the Securities Act of 1933 through public key cryptography and following commercially reasonable cybersecurity practices. There we go. I'm going to say that again. The CFR, 17 CFR, is providing the requirement of a satisfactory control location. Hold on, let me read this over. To provide that, okay, within 90 days after they pass this act, right, the Commission is going to amend the CFR to provide that the requirement for a satisfactory control location is fulfilled by protecting a digital unit through public key cryptography. They're implementing this new commercial, these commercial laws we've been following for so many X amount of years. They're going to be changing these things to implement and put in digital currencies, cryptocurrencies, digital tokens, STOs, tokenized securities, and such. We're seeing a paradigm shift right in front of our eyes, and we're not picking it. We're not catching it. Section 7. Oh, okay. Individual retirement account investments in certain virtual currencies not treated as distributions. What is a distribution in a legal aspect? Let's see. Because they're saying that they do not want this treated as distributions. Let's see. Okay, so according to black laws, the distribution in practice, the appointment and division under authority of the court of the remainder of an estate or of an interestate, interestate after payment of debt and charges among those who are legally entitled to share in the same. I'm gonna say that again. What is a distribution? Hey, once again, in practice, this is why we have to family. This is one reason I do this for y'all. Because I know a lot of us are not going to go in and really, okay, distribution. Distribution means, no, it doesn't. It don't mean the same shit as they told you in the Webster's Dictionary. Totally different. Distribution is the appointment and division, meaning we're going to appoint and divide under authority of the court, the banker, of the remainder of the estate. And in an interestate, after you've paid all your debts and your charges, among those who are legally entitled to share in the same, those who share that debt. So basically, virtual currencies will not be treated as distributions. Certain virtual currencies. So, in general, hey, I hope they catch it. We're going 44 minutes into the podcast. We're nearing the end, family. I'm talking about these last 2 hours. If you didn't catch these, you definitely want to go back and listen and watch these. In general, Section 408M of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 is amended. 1 in paragraph 3. A, the heading of paragraph by striking and bullion. Look. So look. Wait a minute. Striking and bullion and inserting bullion in virtual currency. So wow. They're labeling, they're putting virtual currencies up there with, do y'all know what bullion is? Man. Oh. Man. So right now, bullion is not treated as a distribution. They can. Oh man. In subparagraph A4, by striking or, and in subparagraph, and it's little stuff like that you really want. Oh my God. A, by inserting or after futures contract. That's C in subparagraph B. And a lot of this you really got to go look at the law to see what we're reading on. But for those that do any type of legal framework reading, anyone that goes to the law library actually knows how to read how law is written. Man, this right here is telling us so much. Section D, by inserting after subparagraph B of the following virtual. Okay, so they're inserting virtual currency and they're striking if such bullion, and inserting the paragraph shall only apply to bullion which, and by adding at the end of the following, virtual currency is defined. For purpose of this subsection, the term virtual currency means a digital representation of value that is used as a medium of exchange and is not currency within the meaning of section 988. Did we catch what was just said here? So they added at the end of the following, right? They added at the end of the paragraph shall only apply to bullion which. Section 8, certain exchanges of virtual currency treated as non-taxable exchanges. Hey, they hit. I'm talking about.
And that's why, because truly, you don't have, there's certain things that you don't have to pay taxes on, and when you're dealing with metals and you use cash, listen to me, guys. I just went to a jeweler the other day, and they told me if you don't use card and you bring in cash, there's no tax. In the state of California, when you buy precious metals, that's exactly the same thing that they're doing here.
Did y'all hear what Mr. Duncan just said? Did y'all hear what Mr. Duncan just said? Let me go ahead and continue on. Man. This is amazing, boy. I'm talking about y'all just don't know. Y'all think y'all seen a bull run in 2017? Y'all ain't seen nothing. That was okay. That was cool. I mean, I got to enjoy it. I was in at about $1,000 and enjoyed the ride up to 20,000. But that was cool. That was cool. I've seen rushes, boy. Hey, I'm not going to start using my analogies. So. No, I already know. Certain exchanges of virtual currency treated as non-taxable exchanges. Hey, in general, section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 is amended in the heading by striking real property. Let me get my law book. I got a death. Okay. They're striking real property and they're inserting certain property, family. Do we know what real property is in a legal sense, a lawful word, and legalese? Do we know what certain property is? Do your research and due diligence, family. This is not, so real property, in subsection A.
Get that book.
Hold on, let me see. Nah, you know what though? You know why? We just moved and everything's packed. I got my UCC book, but I want Black Laws Edition 5, and I don't have it next to me. So let's see. What the movie is? Okay, so real property, right? A term that is applied to land and immovable property on land, such as buildings, right? So they're striking. Pay attention. They're striking from non-taxable exchanges real property, and they're inserting certain property. So what is the difference now, right? Well, it's okay. So what's the difference? Let's see. Oh, no, hold on, wrong one. Let's see what certain property is. Quasi property, huh? Almost or resembling, but not actually the same. These motherfuckers. It's a legal concept in which some rights similar to ownership may occur to a party who does not act with benefits society as a whole. And they define quasi as being almost or resembling, but not actually the same as a suffix term. Property laws give the owner of real property or personal property a bundle of rights for beneficial uses, such as the right to sell the property or the right to lifetime use of the property. And I know that really doesn't help any. But moving right along. We got 15 minutes left. How much more do I got to go through this? Oh, we almost to the end. Damn, where was I at? Okay, subsection A, there by adding at the end of the new paragraph, exchange of virtual currency. An exchange of virtual currency, as defined in the subsection 408M, shall be treated as if such exchange were an exchange of real property under this section. So they are treating, I'm gonna say this again. Remember, they took real property out. They inserted certain property, and now they're saying the exchange of virtual currency as defined. Now, what you got to remember now, they're not saying virtual currency as a whole. You got to go read as it's defined under section 408M. That's why I think that's the tricky thing about the back and forth thing about law and why a lot of people don't read it, because it is a lot of back and forth. Okay, let me go and see exactly how to define it, this word and this sentence, because law is precise. It has to be precise. It can't just be a general. There's no such thing as being general when it comes to law. You got to be spot on point. And always remember, ignorance to the law is not an excuse. That's actually a maximum of law. So an exchange of virtual currency shall be treated as if such exchange were an exchange of real property under this section. There's a clerical amendment also. The table of parts for part 3 of the subsection O of chapter A of such code is amended by striking exchange of real property and inserting exchange of certain property. Hey, they're changing, like, what movie is that? What movie is that? I think it's Inception, where, no, anyone's ever seen Doctor Strange, the movie was it Doctor Strange? Okay, remember that movie, how he was manipulating reality and making buildings pop up, go in, fold out, fold in? Man, that's think of a Rubik's Cube. Think if you're taking something out and play. Man, that's what I don't know, man, I don't know, the way I'm seeing this shit in my head, bro, it's crazy. Now, I'm seeing it.
They're redefining what a bank is, basically.
And it's so cold because, man, it's cold. This family, learn law. I can't say this no more. Learn law. Learn how these systems that are in play that govern us. This is what governs us, family, whether you know it or not. I hear a lot of people say, especially people within my demographic, such as the government shutdown. That shit don't affect me. Or a recession in the market. That shit don't affect me. I ain't got nothing to shit. When the rich people was fucked up, it didn't affect me. Let me tell you about a trickle-down effect, right? You can say it didn't affect you, but I remember not too long ago, we used to be able to get 4 bags of chips for $1. If that didn't affect every single person living within the United States, I don't know what did. Once again, I used to be able to get 4 bags of chips for $1. That's a trickle-down effect of an economic crash, family. Trickle down. It affects everybody. So when we see these changes being made to our commercial system through the use of blockchain and cryptocurrencies, do you not get a comprehension level of what's going on? We're living in ignorance, exactly how we were raised to live in ignorance of how the Federal Reserve note and how the reserve system acted for us. We had no comprehension of commercial laws or commercial moving in a commercial sense, operating in your public and private capacity. We had no comprehension level of that. Now, what's going on? They're changing everything over. I suggest you get your children incorporated with this and have them understand and comprehend what's going on, because everything is changing, man. It's going to change under your nose, and you're not going to get it. Moving right along, we got about 8 minutes left. They're going into, clerical amendment. So they're changing it from real property to certain property. Effective date. The amendments made by this section shall apply. Pay attention to this, though. This shall apply to exchanges made on or after January 1st, 2017. So that is when they put a law and it acts in retro, right? Is that the correct word? Okay, right. Meaning it's going to go back and affect everything previously to the law actually being enacted. Section 9, and I'm sort of familiar with that from being in and out of the penal system here. When being incarcerated, there were certain laws that people were looking to be enacted, and we were hoping and wishing that, it would go back and catch those of us who may have been convicted before the law was passed. So I'm familiar with certain things like that, just from having personal experiences with law. Section 9, gain from sale or exchange of virtual currency. Part 3 of subsection B of Chapter 1 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 is amended by inserting after Section 139 the following new section. Now we're adding sections. Section 139G. Gain from sale or exchange of virtual currency. In general, pay attention, family. Man, I want to get all this. Gross income shall not include gain from sale or exchange of virtual gain income shall not include gain from sale or exchange of virtual currency, as defined under Section 408M, for other than cash or cash equivalents. B, limitation. In general, the amount of gain excluded from gross income under Section A with respect to a sale or exchange of virtual currency shall not exceed $600, Federal Reserve notes. 2, aggregation rule. For purpose of this subsection, all sales or exchanges which are part of the same transaction or a series of related transactions shall be treated as one sale or exchange. C, inflation adjustment. I hope y'all catch this because I only got 5 minutes left and I want to get through it. In case of any taxable year beginning in a calendar year after 2018, the dollar amount in subsection B shall be increased by an amount equal to 1, such dollar amount multiplied by the cost of living adjustment determined under Section 1F3 for the calendar year in which the taxable year begins. Determined by substituting calendar year 2017, people, if they're going back in time, or calendar year 2016, in subparagraph A2 thereof. An increase determined amount, an increase determined under the preceding sentence shall be rounded to the nearest multiple of $50. I don't think they getting anything that was just. I hope we is. Let me not even do that because I know we have some very comprehensible people out there. Let me not even say that. When I speak, family, I'm really speaking from my own point of view and how ignorant I was once to the terminology of how I'm speaking right now. So nothing personal. I'm speaking really at myself. B, clerical amendment. The table of sections for Part 3 of subsection B of Section 1 of such code is amended by inserting after the term relating to subsection 139F the following new item, Section 139G, gain from sale or exchange of virtual currency. C, reporting of gains or losses. The Secretary of Treasury shall issue regulations providing for information returns on transactions of virtual currency as defined under Section 408M of the Internal Revenue Code for which gain or loss is recognized. So they're saying the Secretary of the Treasury shall issue regulations providing to that. And then effective date, the amendments by this shall apply with respect to transactions entered in or on about January 1st, 2017. That was the bill, the act, the Token Taxonomy Act. We got about 3 minutes left. Any questions, any comments? Family, if y'all can, please share this out. Please, can me and Brother Duncan get some love and like from the family? Can we get some thumbs up, some hearts? Hey, this right here, for those that were here to catch the whole thing, we went through a lot, man. We went through a lot. Do we got any questions? Brother Duncan, are you able to stay over for any type of questions or comments that we may have? Okay, so family, what we're going to do is, for the New Money Matrix podcast, I'm going to end this now, and I'm going to re-record. I'm going to start recording once again to pick up the questions and comments that we're going to go into. This is going to be I did the prelude. This is the actual Token Taxonomy Act. Now we're going to do, I think it's the exclude or something like that. But I'm going to end this now. I'm going to come back in and record once again. Stopping this. Let me save this real quick, family. And I want to thank you, Brother Duncan, for hanging in there, man. We've been live for 2 hours and 3 minutes right now. 2 hours and 3 minutes we've been live, me and Brother Duncan, man, bringing this information. I hope that it was much appreciated from the family. Do we got any questions or comments out there for anybody? What's going on, family? How we doing? And we do have a nice couple of howdy. What's going on? Peace, 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 peace. Hey, we got it's the same way of learning this knowledge. Much appreciated. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm glad that we had the amount of the crowd that we did have, man. I want to thank all y'all for tuning in and getting this work.
Morning or afternoon. There are many things that are available to us, especially in the West, that could be distractions. But you guys chose to really make a conscious decision to educate this morning, and I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate all of you, family, for staying in there and just listening to the information, because this is what we were not taught in school, right?
Fact.
And at some point, you have to force yourself into a situation. And in this case, we can do that by educating ourselves. And that's what's needed right now. That's what's needed right now. We need more people to understand what's going on in this world. And you do that by listening into stuff like this. So I just put in the chat, Mr. Amir. I wanted to give a gift to everybody that's listening. If you do not have the Kundi XX wallet, you go ahead and download that wallet and get you some free cryptocurrency, since it is the new money system that's being built right underneath our eyes and noses, and most people are not paying attention. Get you some free crypto, because that's where the money is going to. The money is coming from the stock market and moving into crypto and digital currencies.
Fact. I mean, man, I can't say anymore how much of a verse on what's the word I'm looking for. They're not correlated like the way people think they are. They're definitely not. Thank you, Brother Agnes. We got a first-time listener. Brother Agnes said he's a first-time listener here. Said he will be tuning in more often. Man, I really appreciate it, brother. In fact, let me share this with the group. I'm going to share. I do have a podcast available. All 3 of these sessions will be available on. In fact, I'm not going to record it. We'll do the Q&A, and then we'll keep that for the video. This will be on my YouTube channel. For those that are new, I do have 2 YouTube channels, Chicago Crypto Hustler and Cryptonomic Console. Now, I also have a podcast on Anchor, New Money Matrix podcast. I'm going to put the link in the chat so that individuals will be able to click on that. Man, we got a lot of new individuals in here. Man, grand rising to everybody. I don't know who attracted all these beautiful people, but man, we got a lot of new names that I've never seen in here. Grand rising to everybody. Salute. How we doing? My name is Amir, the Chicago Crypto Hustler, Bitcoin Block Bully. Let me introduce myself. Mr. D. Duncan right here is the ambassador, the man, the head honcho behind bringing the Pundi X XPOS systems into the United States. So definitely a man that you need to know and come into contact with. For those that are new to the system, anybody, any questions, don't hesitate. There's no such thing as a dumb question other than the question that wasn't asked. So if we got any questions right now, whether it pertains to anything that pertains to cryptocurrency and blockchain, you can go ahead and ask it now. Anything that pertains to what we just went through, you can go ahead and ask it now. Once again, this bill has not been enacted. This bill has not been enacted yet. Keep that in mind.
Let me just say, when this bill is enacted, it will make the front page of every NNC in this country.
Facts. And before it's enacted, every politician that knows it's going to be enacted is going to go load up their bags of cryptocurrency.
You best believe.
Hey, I'm going to keep it funky with y'all. Best believe. When they make the choice, like, yeah, we're going to pass this, these people are going, you're going to see a surge. You're like, man, hold on. Like the surge we just seen. Yeah, the surge we just seen. Hey, the proof is in the pudding, my brother. Ain't no telling what. Hey, I'm telling y'all.
Let me help some people. Jobs are going to leave this country and around the world. 40 to 60% of jobs in the next 5 years will be vaporized by robots and artificial intelligence. This is not my opinion. I live very close to Silicon Valley. I have friends in some very key places. I know that most, if not all, major corporations in Silicon Valley has some type of robotics program, some type of artificial intelligence program that is not being developed, being finished, completed. Okay? So that's going to take out a lot of jobs. Where will the jobs be? If you understand how to code, you can find work. If you understand blockchain and you are working in a blockchain environment, you can find work. Those are guarantees. If you have skills, you can find work. But these labor-intensive jobs, from the Industrial Revolution, all of that stuff is going out the window. So you heard it here first. Prepare yourself. Prepare your families. Prepare your children. Prepare. because we're going through an economic change that we've never seen before in our lifetime. And I'm talking about people that are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years old have not seen what's coming.
Mm. They haven't seen it yet, huh?
We have not seen this since 1933.
Mm.
None of us were here.
Out here with this brother sharing with y'all right now. Brother B, for those that may just be tuning in, we got a nice crowd. Can you give them a little bit of insight on your background? You know.
Sure, yeah. So I come from the banking industry. I understand finance pretty well. I come from the lending, institutional lending background in mortgages. I've done securitization of mortgage-backed securities, audits, all of those types of things. I understand real estate really well. I am a former real estate investor, both on the commercial and residential side of things. So when it comes to anything that moves in the market, I've been educating myself since 2008 in preparation for now. Because now, if you understand how these markets move and you understand how things work, you can capitalize and make money while everybody else is perishing. And I didn't want to perish again, so I took it upon myself as a person to turn off my television. I stopped watching BET and MTV. I stopped watching all these television shows. And I started tuning into business, reading business articles, reading things that are going on globally. I started traveling the world to see what the world was like outside of Disneyland, which is America.
Say that again, man. Disneyland.
So this is the literal Disneyland of the entire planet. Okay, when you leave the U.S. territory and soil, and you go to other places, life is way much different, right? And so we have to develop a texture as a country, meaning not as a government per se, but as citizens. We have to develop color and texture to understand that life is truly different outside of these four walls. And to do that, you must be touched by the things that are going on the outside, because they do have impending effects on us, whether we want to realize that or not. You know, so that's my background, and I love helping people. You know, but I saw a lot of people have problems during the last collapse, and I just wanted to do my part to be ready in the event something like this happened this time. And here we are. I never knew that this was going to happen the way that it did. But here we are.
Hey, here we are, my brother, on the forefront of this thing. And don't get it twisted. We are revolutionaries within this commercial world, in the sense that we are trying to change the paradigm and the way that you think and look at money. And yes. I think that one comprehension is one of the biggest hurdles that it takes for an individual to get over when they're so used to doing transactions utilizing fiat paper. But this is what I want to tell you all, family. People that are in positions of power, the wealthy, get out of your mind that they do transactions with Federal Reserve notes. Those are used for the more so, it's used to transact in older days for the peasants transact with, if you understand what I mean. Powerful, wealthy entities move things and assets and property. When they switch wealth over, it's not switched over in the form of liquid financial instruments. It's just not. They may have a small percentage of it in a liquid financial instrument, but the majority of it is held within corporate entities, trust, actual property, the holding of physical assets, gold, silver. And it's not that they own it. Remember, the wealthy do not own anything, but they control everything. So when we look at we use Zuckerberg, for instance. Zuckerberg, in order to pass down his wealth to his children, he created the Zuckerberg Foundation, which is a trust, a private trust. And all proceeds and allocations of Facebook go into this trust. They don't go to Zuckerberg. No. The money is put into a trust. Therefore, the money can be controlled and sent and positioned in a way whereas he knows where said funds will go. But it's not in a liquid sense. So when we think about these people having a net worth of 1.2 million, 2.5 billion, do not think there is a safe somewhere that has 2.5 billion Federal Reserve notes and it's sitting somewhere for somebody to spend. This isn't BMF. There's no room full of money. I'm telling y'all now, the money system is being transferred over. Wealth is being transferred over into a digital sense from analog to digital. And if you're not part of that tech, if you're not part of that transition, you are going to be left in the Stone Age with that paper money that you have. Is going to be no different from the monopoly paper they have us play with now. You got to comprehend this, family. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and end this. I want to thank everybody that tuned in for the Early Riser Show.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, with Bitcoin Block Bully, Brother D. Duncan, family, if there's any questions, anything that's needed, do not hesitate on reaching out. For those that are new to the cryptocurrency world, the blockchain world, do not hesitate on reaching out. I have a very, 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 very comprehensible book available for those just starting out. It is due for available for a small donation, but it comes with a free 30-minute consultation with myself. Whereas once you get a simple foundation from the book, you'll be able to contact me, and then we can really build on some meat and potatoes about this thing that we call new money matrix cryptocurrency blockchain. With that being said, I want to give everybody peace, power, and prosperity. Salute. Thank you all for tuning in, brother D. Thank you for hanging with me for damn near 2.5 hours. When you get a chance, go ahead and text me your Cash App, brother. I got something for you. And family, until the next one, thank y'all for the like. Hey, who hitting the mad faces? Who hit the mad face? What was that for? Wow. Nah, it's probably because we ending though. It's probably because we're ending. You know what I mean? Yeah, but family, definitely go back and check out the preview. We've been running for damn near 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like I said, this will be uploaded on my podcast. I will post a podcast on the page. Links to the stories on the page. Check them out if you're not able to stay logged in with Facebook. Until the next one, family, peace, power, and prosperity. We are. There we go. Hey.